Good morning, everyone. Here we are. My name is Victor Kazanjian. I am the Executive Director of URI, the United Religions Initiative. There it goes. And it is an honor and a blessing to welcome you all here today.
And good morning from me too, and welcome. I'm Kiran Bali, and I'm the chair of URI's Global Council. Together with more than 1,000 groups of grassroots interfaith peace builders in more than 100 countries around the world, we welcome you. Yay! In our world of rising violence, fueled by tensions between people of different beliefs, interfaith peace builders are working together on a daily basis in countries around the world to resolve conflict and to create the conditions essential for sustainable peace by bridging religious, cultural, and political differences.
I see this every day in my work around the world. Millions and millions of people of all beliefs working together in their communities to build bridges of understanding. And then here we are, grassroots peace builders, policymakers, partners from around the world, all dedicated to exploring this theme of interfaith action in global peace building and how this interfaith action, what it looks like at the grassroots.
And this wonderful conference today is going to be exploring those issues of promoting interfaith cooperation to end religiously motivated violence and build those cultures of peace, justice, and healing in communities around our world. It is our hope that in our time together, we will develop understanding around the interfaith efforts towards global peace building and to consider the targeted action steps that we can undertake locally and globally.
We are here at Stanford and here at the Hoover Institution thanks to the gracious generosity and hospitality of our dear friend and partner in bringing peace to our world, the Honorable George P. Shultz. I'd like to ask Bishop Bill Swing, founder and president of URI, to come and introduce George.
First of all, he's a friend. And Charlotte, I saw you across a crowded room. These are dear friends who, when I was trying to get started with URI, they backed me, they backed URI, and they never looked back. They just did everything in their power to make URI get off the ground, get out in the world, and have credibility. George is known by people all over the world. I don't need to go into all of his curricula vitae. Secretary of State, personally, what he and Reagan did in terms of getting those nuclear weapons down to a much smaller number is one of the great things that's ever happened in the human race, in my opinion. So, ladies and gentlemen, I present the Honorable George Shultz.
Thank you, Bill. The world needs help. Everywhere you look, you see a report, a mosque bombed, a synagogue torn up, a church, people go in and shoot it up. People don't seem to be able to solve problems. It's a mess. And here's poor Joe Biden. He says he got together with two people he didn't agree with to solve a problem, and they're tearing to pieces for it. What is going on here? It's terrible. And along comes URI. And the idea is to bring people together to solve problems. You create cooperation circles. Every cooperation circle has to have at least 3 religions represented. And it turns out people can talk together and work at a problem that they have in common and get it solved. But because there are at least three religions, it's not only they discuss something and get it solved, they reach out into their communities. They have more contacts than anyone would have. So something happens, it gets done, action. So it's a wonderful idea. And the fact that it has grown over 100 countries, 1 million people involved, millions more affected, shows the world is starved for it and reaching out and grabbing it enthusiastically because it does something we all know needs to be done. We need to solve problems to get ourselves on the right track. Now, there's an interesting book that Bill put together about its early days. And they were a little tough in some very hard places he had to go to. And of course, when he got to a really tough place, he sent Mary to do the job. So let's hear it for Mary. Now, I think that it's very important, and it's heartening we have this meeting here today, that we can make URI continue and expand. And we don't have to invent anything, just keep doing the things we've been doing because they work. It's a good formula. You get people who have different faiths and who normally separate to come together. You don't have to have an argument about whose faith is best. Just have a discussion about some problem you have in common and work it out and solve it. And what that does is it increases tolerance, it increases understanding. It's good to understand somebody else's faith, even though you don't believe it, you believe in your own, but still I can understand what it's about. That's a good thing. So I am a great believer right from the beginning in the idea of URI, and it's heartening to see how it has really grown. It's almost as though the world is avid for something like this and reaching out for it. And goodness knows, as I said at the beginning, the world needs it desperately. So go URI.
Thank you so much, Gene.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Secretary Schultz.
Okay.
23 years ago, a group of people from the world's religious, spiritual, and indigenous traditions gathered here at Stanford University for a series of planning meetings. And that led to the birthing of what we know as URI, the United Religions Initiative. Let's have a round of applause, please. And well done to all of you involved. As we gather once again on this campus, we are so thankful to be hosted by Stanford's Office for Religious Life and Memorial Church. I would like to welcome the Reverend Dr. Tiffany Steinwart, Stanford's Dean of Religious Life. Where's Tiffany? Oh, excellent. And Associate Deans Rabbi Patricia Carlin Newman and Sugra Ahmed to offer their words of welcome and to lead us in a land acknowledgement, honoring the indigenous peoples on whose ancestral land we gather today. Thank you.
We can step right off.
I greet you with peace. And on behalf of Stanford University and the Office for Religious Life, I welcome you back to campus all of these years later. Here at Stanford University, we value the role of religious pluralism. We value the role of religion. We value the role of spirituality in higher education. And we celebrate the opportunity to host URI on this momentous occasion. Indeed, the role of religion in the formation of active and engaged global citizens has always been central to our academic mission. Jane and Leland Stanford made certain to enshrine this role in the founding of the university itself, not simply in erecting Memorial Church as the geographic and metaphorical heart of the university, but also in putting in the founding documents the stipulation that religious life must be open and accessible to all. It must be non-sectarian and non-compulsory. Rabbi Jacob Vorsanger, one of the 13 clergy who participated in the 1903 dedication of Memorial Church, spoke admiringly of Jane Stanford's open-mindedness. He made this comment: "Mrs. Stanford has sat at the feet of preachers of every possible denomination and no denomination. Unitarians, Trinitarians, infidels, Brahmins, Buddhists, Mohammedans, materialists, atheists have all been heard. All were welcomed, the main condition of their welcome being that they must have something to say." Jane Stanford's admiration for wisdom, unbound from denominational alliances, has infused Stanford's understanding of religion with a vision for inclusivity and religious pluralism. Although what was considered broad-minded in 1903 still centered on Western Protestant traditions, the seed of religious diversity was planted. And the university has flourished ever since, rooted and grounded in the values of open, accessible religious access for all people. We continue to this day to hold religious and spiritual formation as an important and integral facet of a Stanford education. Today, at the Office for Religious Life, we are committed to ensuring lively, thoughtful, and supportive contexts for Stanford students, faculty, and staff. The Office for Religious Life aims to promote enriching dialogue, meaningful ritual, and enduring friendships among people of all religious backgrounds. We do this through 3 primary foci: providing religious access to students of all faiths and philosophical traditions, engaging students in multi-faith programming and projects, and creating opportunities for our campus community to reflect on what I consider to be life's most pressing question: who am I, and who do I seek to become for the sake of the world? For the sake of the world. While you are here on our campus these 2 days, we invite you to explore some of our religious sacred spaces on campus. Many of you may have seen Memorial Church, a sanctuary built by Jane in memory of her late husband as an anchor for religious life on campus. But today the church is used for more than just worship. We host diverse concerts and performances and celebrate faith traditions beyond Christianity, including the Hindu celebration of Diwali and the Muslim observance of Mawlid. Sunday services routinely feature sermons from Jewish, Muslim, humanist, Buddhist practitioners and others, as well as student reflections. You might choose to visit Old Union. On the 3rd floor, we have the Circle, the Center for Interreligious Community, Learning, and Experiences, which is our primary interfaith space on campus. As the shape itself connotes, an open and inclusive circle, this space is a diverse haven for worship, ritual, meditation, reflection, spiritual, and intellectual growth. We also invite you to stop by our newest center, which is the Windover Center for Contemplation. Outdoor in the gardens is a lovely labyrinth that you can walk while you are here, pausing in the midst of this conference for a moment of your own reflection. We are so glad you are here. We are so glad that we got to be here from the very beginning. At Stanford, we like to be first. But beyond being first, we like to be right. And I don't mean right in terms of right and wrong, but I mean right in terms of just, of good, of doing the moral, the ethical, the right thing, and doing it with humility, not for the sake of reputation, but for the sake of the world. Because after all, that is the endeavor in which all of us are engaged at Stanford University and around the world, asking that primary question: who am I? And who do I seek to become for the sake of the world? So thank you for coming to our campus. Thank you for asking us to reflect on that question once again. In this moment in which the stakes seem higher than ever, your presence helps us to reclaim the promise and possibility of the power of religion to transform the world for good. So thank you for coming. Thank you for gracing our community with your presence.
ברוך חכם הגזים, שאין דעתם דומה זה לזה, ואין פרצופם דומה זה לזה, והקדוש ברוך הוא יודע מה בלב כולם. Blessed is the wise one who discerns secrets, that though our knowledge differs one from the other, and our appearance differs one from the other, the source of all being knows what is in the heart of each of us. It is with gratitude and warm wishes that we welcome you to Stanford University. As we gather, we aspire to make possible peace, goodness, lives that are a blessing, gracious acts, the love of sharing, the love of creating light unbound, learning alive, sustenance for all, abounding life. Help us create them here and disseminate them throughout the globe. Amen.
We take a moment to recognize that Stanford sits on the ancestral and unceded land of the Muwekma Ohlone tribe. This land was and continues to be of great importance to the Ohlone people. We recognize that every member of Stanford has and continues to benefit from the use and occupation of this land since the institution's founding in 1885. Consistent with our values of community and diversity, we have a responsibility to acknowledge and make visible the university's relationship to Native peoples.